I think start. So I'll start now. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here. My name is Ryan, and I have introduced myself already. I'm the CityU DSC Lead this year. Today, I'm going to talk about some topic called about deploy to cloud. So I'll talk about some basic concepts of Google Cloud Platform, Docker, and Kubernetes. Uh, Actually, the funniest thing is that I realized there will be some guy talking about why not doing Kubernetes next week. I think that's quite interesting. But I can imagine that why not using Kubernetes? It's good to use Docker. It's good to use a container. But for Kubernetes, I think it's more suitable for like a big projects, or you have to deploy your project to multiple machines. If you are just using one machine and that's not a very big project, then I suggest you not doing Kubernetes. So you can leave when I'm talking about Kubernetes. All right. So now I'm going to first talk about the agenda. So agenda first, we'll start from the very beginning, start from the concept. It's concept of Docker, concept of Kubernetes, and also about the Google Kubernetes engine, which stands for GKE. Okay, and after we start up our projects, then we will tell how to Dockerize your project. And after that, we will talk about how to deploy on Kubernetes. So K8s, it's a version of Kubernetes. And next, we will deploy to Google Kubernetes engine. So you can deploy to, there are like three, okay, just use GCP. Next, I'll talk about the container first. So container is the main concept of how Docker works. So before Docker or before container, the idea of container came out that if you want to using the code that maybe if I'm using Windows, okay, and I want to use the code from maybe Mac OS, then you have to set up the environment first, and maybe you have to download where you have to run a virtual machine. So there are like quite a lot of virtual machine that you may know, like VirtualBox, and you have to run that virtual machine so that you can run the code and run the environment of that project. But when containers came out, that you can see that what it contained the code and plus the environment. So now you can see that you can just use you can just run it in your host operating system. Like I'm using Windows, then I'm fine with Windows. I don't have to download VirtualBox and run a very slow Mac OS. All right, so inside my operating system, and I can have my Docker server, Docker daemon, and I can run multiple apps at the same time. So like this app, maybe this work for the Mac OS. This app maybe work for the I'd say like Alpine or Linux. So I can run multiple projects at the same time without using a virtual machine. So virtual machine and container are quite the same, similar functions and quite similar idea. But the most biggest difference is that containers virtualize the operating system, but the virtual machine virtualize the hardware itself. Next, I want to talk about this is the architecture of Docker itself. So you can see that there's a client here. Client, it's you, okay? So you can write some commands here. And then there's a Docker host. Docker host, there's a very interesting stuff called Docker daemon. You can view it, this daemon as a long-running server, okay? And inside this Docker host, you will have multiple images and multiple containers. So I'll talk about the difference of images and containers, okay? And next we'll have one thing called registry. Registry, you may heard of some registry, very big open source registry like Docker Hub, all right? So when you want to use the image from Docker Hub, you have to pull it from your registry to your Docker host, to your computer. Okay. Next, let's start from the blue line. Okay. Wait, is it blue or is it green? Okay, never mind. So when I write a command of Docker pull, it means that I want to pull the image from the registry to this. But we will not directly go to registry. We have to pass through the Docker daemon first. So you can see that every command pass through the Docker daemon first, and then Docker daemon will process it, and it will go to registry, like maybe Docker Hub, and then get the image and then put it here. Okay. And how about Docker build? Docker build, you can see the orange line. Docker build is kind of if you build a Docker file, if you build a project that you're using Docker, then you can just build it. When you build it, then it will also go through the Docker daemon and then build a image. And Docker run. Docker run is kind of similar as Docker build, but it runs eventually. So it will run the image to make it to container. So that's the difference of container and image. Container, you can say it's a kind of a running instance of image. So when you can use Docker run and when it's after you build your image. Okay, so this is the architecture of Docker itself. Next, I want to demo a very simple applications that made by MongoDB as a non-SQL database server, and also Express.js as Express.js. Okay, then I will run Docker file. But since we have two applications here, so we two services here, so we have to use a technique called Docker Compose. Docker Compose is that you can run multiple containers inside, multiple images inside this Docker Compose at the same time. So now I will leave this and let us see the code first. Okay, so you can see that this is a very simple applications built by the Express and also Mongoose. Okay, and you can see that this will connect to your MongoDB, Mongo server, localhost server. Okay, and when this will this is kind of a adding item small applications. We can show you that later. So if you want to run on your local host, and firstly you can just add localhost and you can npm run. Let me see, npm run start, and you can see these applications. But now I want to package inside the wait, why is so slow? Okay, I want to package this inside the Docker. So I'll use Mongo. Okay, I'll specify what this Mongo means. Okay, so inside the Docker file, mainly you have to build one Docker file for the application that you're using. For this application, I'm using Node.js, so I'm using Node 10. You can use 12, but that's fine. I'm good with 10. Okay, and then I will specify my work directory, and I'll work directory will set as a user src app inside here, and then I will copy the package.json. Since that I have to install everything's inside this package.json, every dependencies inside this package.json, so I have to specify it here. And after I have copied this package.json into this directory, then I can run out the npm install. So you can see that run is kind of a thing that you will type inside the command line. So something you will type inside the terminal. So it's just like the same as terminal. You can write things here, and when I install everything, then you can copy every file, every like index.js, every models to this directory. This is from, this is to. Okay, and then I will expose to this port 3000 port, and last I will run cmd npm start. So cmd is kind of the same idea as run, But run, you can run quite lots of run. You can run another thing is maybe run if your Angular product ng blah blah blah. But for CMD, it's just only can execute once. You can only execute it once because CMD is the thing that you will execute when you want to build your Docker file. So run is kind of a command thing that while building this Docker file, but CMD is that, okay, I state that this is the end of my Docker file. Okay, so there are only one CMD inside your Docker file. And after that, since that I said we have Node.js and also Mongo as our database, so we will have two Docker file. But actually, we cannot technically we cannot have two Docker file. But there's another common way to implement this is to use Docker Compose. I say that Docker Compose can run multiple containers at the same time. So you can see that I give it a name called app. You can call it node, anything you like, okay? And okay, and you can specify the container name, and you can see that there's a dot. Dot means that it will find out the Docker file inside your folder, and then build this Docker file. So this app is the building this Docker file by building the Node.js. Okay, and I'll specify the port. 3000 is the port of this 3000, and 80 is the one that I want to show on my screen. Okay, and our links to the Mongo. Mongo is this one. So this will be another. You can see it as another Docker image, Docker image. But I will build this image by the Mongo. So you can specify that maybe 4.2 blah 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 here. This will pull it from the Docker Hub, and this will be the end of this project. So you can have the Docker file, Docker Compose.yml, and YAML file, and also you can have one called Docker ignore. Docker ignore is that when you want to push it to the Docker Hub, you want to ignore something. That's same as the git ignore. Okay. Next, I want to run it. I hope it can run. If you want to run a compose file, Docker Compose, then you can use Docker Compose build. But now I want to run Docker Compose up. It means that if you find out that there's no image inside your Docker, then it will help you to build it first and then run it. So when I run Docker Compose up, it will go through this, and then you will find out, okay, I want to build this image, node image, and also I want to build this Mongo image. All right, so I think init init times. Let's wait for him. So you can say it's already starting. Yeah, it has already started building this and Docker Mongo, which is the Node app, and also Mongo. Okay, so you can see the outcome is MongoDB connected, server running, which means that we can see this here. Okay, I specify 80, so it's right here already. And you can see that I can just add any things inside here that's connected to the MongoDB already. Nice. So this one is already running inside the Docker container. So this is not from your local host that you run the npm start, run start. That's a different space. Okay. That's all for the Docker. And now I want to go back to my slide. Okay. You can see the Docker file and Docker Compose here that I have explained already. Next, I want to go to Kubernetes. So I have mentioned that after we're building a Docker file, that we can go to Kubernetes. We can deploy on the Kubernetes. What is Kubernetes? So Kubernetes has the idea of, I would say, I forgot the name. It's called orchestration. Yeah, it's it's kind of called container orchestration. All right, I maybe pronounced wrong, but that's maybe orchestration. Okay, so it means that when you want to deploy on this multiple machines instead of a single machine, then you can use Kubernetes. Well, it's hard to implement this, or like it's hard to build on deploy on the Kubernetes. But after you deployed it, then you can do the controlling, arrangement, coordinations, and availability of the containers very easily. So I would say this is also a future trend, but not very suitable for a small project that I mentioned already. But I will still demo that how will a like simple project, how if I want to build it, deploy on Kubernetes and deploy on Google Kubernetes engine, how it will be. But before that, I want to talk more about its architecture first. So Kubernetes, it's mainly there's clusters. So every project, there will be a cluster for this project. So inside this cluster, there were like many nodes. There are like maybe one or more master node. I'll say one master node first. And inside this master node, there are few composed by etcd. Etcd is kind of a backup stuff. So if your server just if your Kubernetes just dead, then it can help you to restore it. And kube controller manager, you can say that it's kind of it will listen to the process of the clusters, like a node controller, replication controller. And next, there will be kube scheduler. Kube scheduler is kind of it will help you to put your pod, the new pod inside the right work node. So work node here. And Kube API server is just a server that will interact with you. Okay. So now there's a user case. If I want to build a pod, the methods to build a pod is to build a YAML file. So YAML file is just you can build a YAML file, and it can help you to build a pod. So if you build a pod, then you're using the kubectl, this is a CLI, and then go directly to the Kube API server, and the controller manager will access to the server and then build the pod on the controller here. And then the scheduler will help you to like periodically access the kube controller manager. And then if there's a new pod, that it will build, like it will distribute to the right worker nodes, like maybe here. Okay. So every pod, there will be one container, but like not one container, it can multiple containers. Okay, but mainly it will only have one container. So like previous example, for Mongo will be one pod, and Node will be one pod. So that's the thing like this. So that's the architecture or the layout of the Kubernetes. But you don't have to worry about this. You don't really need to write so many things. This will automatically help you to build everything. Okay, so next I want to talk one more example of this. Okay, so now this example, we will have PostgreSQL as our database. It's I use MongoDB as non-SQL. Now I want to use SQL and Express. Okay, and then we will also have a Docker Compose and Docker file, and we want to build a Docker image, like 2 Docker images, and we will store it to the Google Container Registry, which is also a like a feature of Google GCP. Okay, after we stored it, and also we can have another, like we will build a pod, and inside the cluster, and inside the Google Kubernetes engine. So like we don't really build a pod and build a cluster and build Google Kubernetes engine. We'll build a pod, and we will store inside a cluster and store inside a Google Kubernetes engine. So now we want to demo it by a project. Let me see where is project. Okay. How about let's live demo it. maybe I'll just build a node application, and then I'll upload it to Kubernetes engine. I think I still got I still got 10 minutes, but I think I can do it. Okay, so let's do it live. I've built it, Node 3 demo. Okay, so kind of hard code. Okay, let's see. Let's do it. If there's any error, then I'll quit. Okay, I hope there's not. Okay, so for this, as you can see, there's no any server.js because I just built it without anything here. Okay, so if I have downloaded the Node1, so it will help us to run the server.js. So the first thing we have to do is to build a server.js. Don't be so slowly. Okay, server.js. Well, I will not coding everything here, so I'll just copy and paste like a hello world stuff. Yeah, hello world from GDG DevFest maybe. Okay. Okay, so I'm listening to the port 3000, and I was just using Express. I don't have time to build a database. Okay, so when it's connected to the port, then it will console the log listening on port, and it will be 3000. Okay, so I can run it on the local first. Why is it so lag on my computer? Please don't do this to me. Okay, let's wait for a second. If it is so slow to build just a npm run dev, and I believe that it will be really, really slow to build a clusters on the Google Kubernetes engine. So I decide to build a Kubernetes engine first. Okay, maybe I need to change a new laptop. Right. So before that, you have to install the Google Cloud SDK, but I have already installed it, so I'll not talk about that. First of all, I think I will let's set to my project first. This is called, I think this one. Okay. Let's see if it's okay. So it's now listening by MacBook Pro. Okay, no way. All right, so it's listening on 3000. We can see from here. It's supposed to, yes, hello world from GDG DevFest. Nice. So it works perfectly on localhost. Of course, this is only just one line thing, of course. And now, yes. Okay, so we lost one thing here. Now I'm switching my project to this metal clone, blah, blah, blah. I'll delete that project later. Okay, so it's inside this project already. And now what the thing I'm going to do is to build a cluster. I'm going to show you here. I will build a cluster right here. There's no cluster right here. So I'm building it now. It's called G Cloud container clusters create. I'll say node 3 demo. And I will specify the nodes that maybe I'll just need 2 nodes right here. And then I'll specify the zone. Zone will be Asia East 1. Why not? Okay. And machine type. I'll say it as a G1 small. It's really small. Let's create it. So this command line will help me to create a container inside the Google Container Engines. Okay, yes, it's really slow, but never mind. What I'm going to do now is to write a Docker file. Okay, I'll build a Docker file now, and I'll Dockerize it. We just call Docker file. I'm not gonna make it. And what I'm going to do is I'll pull from the image called node 12, and then inside this work directory, which is called user and src app. Okay, after that, I want to copy package.json this directory, and then I'll run npm install, and then I'll copy all the files here, and then I'll expose to 3000, and I will run one cmd. It's called npm start. No, I don't have this. I think I have to run rows server.js. Yep. Okay. It works. Okay. So now it is building this container, and it takes quite a lot of time. Never mind it. So I already built this Docker image. So now I want to build it to the Google, how do you say that, cluster registry. Okay, so now I want to build, tag it as a gcr.io, and wait, copy and paste. It's a node 3 demo. Okay, nice. It means that we are building this image. We are building this image, and then it has a tag called gcr.io metaclone blah blah blah. This is the project name on your GCP. Okay. Why it's so slow? I don't want to waste time, so now I want to build another thing called Kubernetes stuff. So I say that every Kubernetes pod there will be a YAML file. So I'm doing this like development.yaml, not development, deployment. All right, I don't have time. What I'm going to do is to copy and paste it from here. So you can see the name, and replicas is mean that the pods you want to run on here. I just only want to run one pod here, and then the app is connected to the node, and my image is called node 3 demo. Okay, so and I'll run on the port 3000, and that's all. And next, I will create another thing called node service. Service is the one that when you want to access the pod on the external link, and you will have the service pod. Hey, so service pod can see the kind of service, and this one is kind of deployment. So this will be not no development YAML. This should be no deployment YAML, but never mind. Okay, and I'm using type for load balancer. Load balancer, you can see this as inside the GCP. But the thing is, I don't think I have the time to wait until it. Okay, I have the cluster here already, but I haven't Docker built it. Let's wait. Now, after I create a YAML file of that pod, I have to create it. So I'll use this command line to create, it's called node development YAML. Let's do this. Okay, it's created. And next, I'll node service. All right, I have created this already. I have already built the Docker file. Then now I want to push it. Okay, node T. I want to push it to the Google Docker registry. And let me check if I build this service. Why is it so slow? All right, so I have my applications right this external IP already. And I'm not knowing. Let's see the refresh it, and it should be one clusters right here. All right, there's a clusters, and this is node, which we have just built it. And when I go to this, no, I got the sequence wrong because I just create the file first. All right, I'm sorry, I don't have I don't have the time to create this. This too hard in 10 minutes. I use even 15 minutes. All right, my fault. But that's the procedure. The wrong why it's error, like why it's not showing this, it's because I just create the this YAML file before the Docker was built. The Docker built too slow on my computer, so that's why I cannot really show it, and I don't have time to create it once again. But if you build it successfully with the right procedure, then you can see your hello world from GDG DevFest inside this port, inside this external IP. All right. I think I have end. This is the end of my presentation. I'll pass the time to Emma.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Yes, it is always some error about the demo, but
yeah.
if you want to try the demo, try to do this at home and meet some problem, maybe you can ask Ryan, or I think he will help you. Yeah. And so if you have any question, please ask in YouTube channel. That is in the YouTube comments. Let me see if anyone is typing. some feedback.
Yeah, the pod status. I think I did not develop deployment well because so I think the problems will be it did not deploy to create this and this no development and no service. It has a service but not yet deployed, right? So you can see now it's it, but yeah, I'll check that later. Thank you for the feedback.
Okay, then maybe if you have further questions, you can contact Ryan directly. There is some his contact information in the DevFest Hong Kong website in the speaker in his icon. Under his icon, there is his contact information. So thank you, Ryan, and thank you, Ryan, thank you, Eugene, thank you the DSC CityU, and so bye bye Ryan.
Yeah, thank you. See you.